Today's episode is about a man in Florida who spent nearly $200,000, mostly stolen from his family, on a webcam performer in Bulgaria who he believed truly loved him. Now, his family protected him, paid for treatment, and even gave him one final chance. Then they contacted her themselves, and within weeks, all three were dead. And Grant Amato had disappeared. This is Tell Me the Crime, episode 23. Welcome back to
Tell me
the crime. Yeah, that was good. Great opening, everyone. Welcome back to Tell Me the Crime.
Was not synced at all.
No, I am John.
And I'm Febriana.
And this case is about a man who chose an online fantasy over his family. It's a pretty
That sounds
rich
like
one.
the show that we watched last night.
Yeah.
Is it that show?
Is it a show that's about like someone choosing someone else over his family?
No, that's the show that was based on Harlan Coben's novel. The show called Caught. Is it that
one? Yeah. That was
No?
No, not quite. This one's crazy. So before we get into it, want to tell them a little bit about what happened.
What happened?
I don't know,
What
a few days ago.
happened?
What did happen? You tell me.
Last week?
Yeah.
We had our wedding reception
Uh-huh.
in a very beautiful place in Canada.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it was successcul.
It was. It
We
was
had
amazing.
a really great time with friends and family, considering that everything was last minute,
It was pretty incredible how everything came together. We got our pastor in like 2 weeks before, less than 2 weeks before. We found a photographer
Like in a
within
week.
days of the event.
And also like the whole morning it was raining,
Yeah.
but it stopped
then
right
before
the ceremony.
Exactly. Yeah,
so
that worked out well. I guess
it was perfect.
Sometimes things work great, even though it's the last minute. That's the lesson here, babe. You gotta just do everything last minute, and it works out.
That drives me nuts.
I know. Okay, so today's episode is again the man who chose an online fantasy over his family, and it's about a 29-year-old man whose family.
Oh, pretty young.
Yeah, he's pretty young, but his family repeatedly tried to help him. They supported him through school. They helped after his medical career collapsed. They bought expensive equipment so he could pursue a new dream. And when he stole an almost unbelievable amount of money from them, they somehow still protected him and did not send him to prison, which they absolutely could have done. And instead, they paid for treatment. So eventually, they just asked him to do one thing. They said, stop contacting a woman online who he'd never even met.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of complicated.
And within weeks, his mother, father, and his closest brother / best friend were dead.
Okay, there are so many layers in this story.
Years later, the Grant Amato, the killer, eventually admitted why.
Okay, can you tell us first about this man? What's the name? And you mentioned about
Grant
medical.
Amato is the guy who killed his family. It's the Amato family.
Where is he from?
He's initially from Chillouta, Florida, and he lived with his parents Chad and Margaret Amato and his brother Cody. So they also had an older half-brother named Jason who lived somewhere else. So this was a pretty stable and financially comfortable family, but they weren't like unlimited money. The dad was a pharmacist. The mother worked as a senior operations manager in some medical transcription and coding or something. And then Cody became a certified nurse anesthetist. I always mess that word up. And Grant and Cody were really close. They went to school together, they trained together, lifted weights together, traveled together, and pursued similar careers in nursing. Now, Grant later described Cody in unusually intense terms, calling him the love of his life, which is very, very interesting way of putting things like that. But from the outside, Grant appeared to have nearly everything needed to build a successful adult life. He had an education, a close family, somewhere to live because he was living with his parents, and parents who continued helping him long after he'd reached adulthood. So with this much support, and people believing in you, do you think that maybe someone could feel like failure is easier because someone's always there to like rescue you?
I think this person will have really great safety net. Can I say that?
Safety net. Yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Because whatever he is doing, he does not need to be worried about too many things. He knows that he always has his parents' backup and...
Right, exactly. So it's less
he
about
always has
him.
a support.
Right. So that's the thing, right? Like sometimes you feel like people that get too much become less motivated.
Great. Yeah.
Right? Because like they're given too much.
Yeah.
And it's like they know that someone's always going to back them up no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's normal in married life, like you and I. I always got your back.
Aww.
Yeah, but that it's sometimes it becomes enabling, of like bad habits and whatnot. So let's get into it. The first career collapse. So Grant and Cody both pursued advanced training to become nurse anesthetists. Oh my God, I hate that word. Cody completed the program, but Grant did not. And apparently he left because of a conflict in a clinical placement where he resisted listening to a correction that his supervising physician gave him. So rather than just disagreeing and listening to your boss, who was the physician, right? He just decided to follow a pattern that he has, that you'll see he does quite often. He appears to believe that his judgment is better and it should override the judgment of the people supervising him.
He just did not want to listen.
He didn't want to listen.
Okay.
Exactly. Yep. He didn't want to listen, and he, and that was too much for him. So he got angry, and clearly he doesn't. He has some issues with following rules and entitlement. So he was still a registered nurse and obtained a job at Advent Health in Orlando. But in June 2018, staff found 8 empty vials of propofol, which is like a powerful sedative, right, to like relax you.
Okay.
And they found that in rooms where Grant had been working, and it hadn't been ordered by any doctor. So clearly he stole those, and he was using them for personal use.
Yeah. For personal purpose.
So he claimed that he had, administered it because his patients were not adequately relaxed. But, if the doctor didn't order it, that's not your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He cannot care too much about that.
Yeah, so eventually, because of that, he was fired and arrested.
Oh.
And, I mean, the criminal charge was eventually dropped, but it's still, his nursing career was effectively over at that point. So,
was that the only reason that he gave, or did he actually confess?
Did he confess to it? I didn't read up on any of that. I don't think he confessed to it. And maybe they didn't have enough evidence because it was circumstantial, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't found on him. It was found in the room that he had been working in.
Yeah.
So there's other possibilities, but I mean, it's pretty, you'll see why it's very likely that it was him. So, okay. So then after he lost his job, this is where the family actually steps in and are pretty amazing. He wanted to make money streaming video games on Twitch. Now, his family didn't shut down the idea. Now, actually, before we go further, do you know what Twitch is?
I was about to ask you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Twitch is an online platform where you play video games.
Okay.
And you record yourself playing video games, and then you upload yourself playing and the actual, like what you're seeing on the screen to the platform, and people watch it. So like really good players of games will do well on this platform often. If, you know, they're really good at the game and they have good reactions, good personality, then people want to watch them. So I know, which is kind of crazy because, you know, way back when, like, people used to even think that just playing video games to like make money was a ridiculous notion, and now people are watching people play video games.
It's a competition.
It's like, yeah, but it's
they got
crazy.
a lot of money.
But I guess it's all about like capturing attention in different ways, right?
That's true.
And there's always a ton of that. So okay. So he, you know, he tried this for a little bit, but it didn't last for much longer than like maybe a few months before, like, he stopped, right? And there's no like evidence that his family forced him to do it. In fact, they're the ones that gave him the equipment, the opportunity. But the channel just didn't become that successful. But here's the thing, though. It was only
for a hobby or just or work, because his career.
Right. Well, he wanted to do it as a career, right? So, but his family didn't shut it down. They said, okay, sure, let's do it. Let's do it as a career. But I guess he didn't become that successful. I think he was only making like $100 a month or something. And but here's the thing, though, too, is like I don't know about Twitch streaming. I have no idea, so I'm not going to pretend. But $100 a month after only like a few months does actually seem like pretty good, right? Because like it's not, you know, people give up in the first year all the time. Grant, at this point, instead of, you know, thinking, okay, well, I can't do this for a living, I'm going to go get a real job, he found another form of streaming that gave him attention immediately. And this is where Sylvie comes in.
Who's Sylvie?
Exactly. I'll tell you who she is. She's central to this story. So,
a fake account.
She was an adult model on My Free Cams. Okay. So Grant started using this platform called My Free Cams, and it's an adult webcam platform where viewers purchase tokens and pay performers for their time. Okay, so it's a paid service. So he encountered Sylvie, right? And her full name was Sylvia Ventsiflavova. Sorry if I butchered that completely. But anyway, she went by Sylvie.
Okay.
Is she
a Russian?
I assume so.
Okay.
I didn't get that info, though. I should have. My apologies. So she was not pretending like my Free Cams was not like she wasn't pretending it was a dating site. Like, he knew fully well what this was. It was a paid service. And she's doing this with lots of people, right?
Ooh.
So he understood that, like, spending money on her gave him access to her. But the interactions moved beyond that for him. He saw it as more than just like a public performance. They communicated privately. And
they were building a true connection?
Which is something that, like, one could argue, right? They could say, well, they were communicating privately beyond the platform. That might have been a problem, right? So Grant began interpreting the relationship as romantic, and but he never met her in person, right? So to Sylvie, Grant was also not, he didn't represent himself the way that he should have, which is, living with his parents, unemployed, all that. But he portrayed himself.
He was building a narrative as
exactly
what he wanted.
Exactly.
To present her. Okay.
So he presented himself as rich, successful, professional, and a popular gamer. And to, like, convince her of this, he spent money on her a lot and extended private sessions for, additional money, right? So by all accounts, he had a ton of money to spend on her. And he was able to spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars purchasing those tokens. So it's like he knew what he was getting into, but then at some point, I guess it turned into like more than just a fantasy or more than just like purchase of like content. He thought it was like a romantic relationship. And, I guess like at some point he probably saw this identity as like a way out of his real life situation, which is he's unemployed because he got fired, right? He's not doing what he wants to do. He failed at being a gamer. And, online though, he can create this persona, right? Which is something that we see a lot in our cases where people create those personas that are like the dreamed versions of what they want.
It's like an escape world or escape room for the person.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder too, right? Like, was he actually in love with Sylvie, or was he in love with the person he could pretend to be when he was with her, right? Which is a really interesting psychological question, right?
But why, if they actually built a communication privately out of the platform, then they should meet up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Like, but they never did.
And how long was that?
He was talking to her for months, right? For a long time. And it was a lot because he paid a lot of money for her. And it's like, it's estimated that he spent about, get this, okay, $200,000 in total on her. Yeah.
Wow. Why?
So it's like, that's crazy, right? Like,
here's the thing. First, my question is, how far were they apart? Like, in terms of the physical locations, right? And if they're very serious about it, or they're trying to really build a true connection, then he could initiate having a meeting with her, or the other way around. And that would be a lot more interesting and more meaningful than just meeting online and spending.
I know. But she probably,
$200,000 USD.
Here's the thing, though. Like, a lot of these models will, because it's their job, right? And it's understandable. So I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing this, but like, they need to like string people along and make it seem like it's more genuine than it actually is, right? Because that's their job. They're performing. It's an act. And that's what people seem to forget, right? Like, their job is to make you feel special, is to make you feel like you have a real connection with them. That's why people pay for the service, right? It's it's not always about the sexual gratification. It's often about building a real bond with someone that they don't normally get to have.
Yeah.
Right? So so that's one of the reasons possibly that that he kept going with it. And again, especially because of where his situation was in his current life. But $200,000 though.
Yeah, exactly. $200,000.
So like at one point, like you got to start thinking like, okay, I just spent $200,000 on a woman I've never even met. And she only wants to talk to me really mostly when I'm like paying for it or giving her gifts or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's not a real
can you really be?
Sure.
Can you be like? Can you really be in love with someone if it's a transaction like that?
Yeah.
But
that's I don't know. That's very complicated though. But we gotta also think that maybe the guy, what's the name again? Brandon. Brandon, right? So he might also. He probably didn't have any courage to step out of that bubble or the world that he was creating to have a connection with a girl, right? If he really wants to have a relationship, then he was very sure that that's not the platform, but that's not something that he was searching for.
Yeah, maybe, but by all accounts, though, he's telling people that he's in love with her and that she's in love with him.
Okay, that's a fantasy.
So he did want, he did want to have a relationship with her, and I just
He's not ready to do that.
right. And I just
sure.
found my notes for where she was. She was in. She lived in Bulgaria. So
that's pretty far.
Pretty far.
But like if it's real,
but if
you
it's
could
real,
just fly.
you can make it work, right?
And that's less than 200,000 USD.
Well, he eventually, even after his family eventually found out that he stole $200,000 because he didn't have that money.
Yeah.
He stole it from his parents and from his brother. And he even put money, like he even took out like loans, fraudulent loans in their names.
Oh, no.
Like against the house, for example, to pull out like, 60 grand here and, another 20 grand here. So like it's crazy how much he did and they never turned him in. That's the sad thing, is that they were trying so hard to help him that they even went so far as to like give him therapy and like said, okay, like we understand that you think you're in love with this person, but do you see this pattern that is happening right now? You're stealing money from your family.
Who said that? Like the family?
The family, yeah, eventually. So anyway, so it's interesting when you think of whether it's even possible for that to be like love between, especially with her, right? Because she's getting paid for it. Would she still be with him if he didn't pay? Probably not. But again, that's her job.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to the story. So what we'll do is we'll talk next about the final chance that her parents, like his parents, gave, right? So eventually they did find out, right? And actually, let's talk about that first. Let's talk about how they found out that he was lying to everyone and that he stole that money, because they didn't find out right away, and he didn't tell his parents. It was
obviously
right, yeah, but it was Cody that eventually told him.
How could he find out? How could Cody find out?
It was on a trip to Japan. And
Okay.
this trip to Japan is kind of like the turning point, right? Where things, he let loose. He eventually told Cody, right? And about the relationship. So Grant, Cody, and their longtime friend, Jericho Fine, traveled to Japan together. So during the trip, Jericho discovered unauthorized charges on his Discover card from My Free Cams tokens. So he was stealing while he was on the Japan trip from this friend. And I guess Jericho, found out that it was him. And I guess Grant decided to tell Cody about the relationship with Sylvie and how it was true love. And, initially Cody was sympathetic and he even, may have helped him with additional tokens, apparently. But then Cody was like, we got to tell the parents. Like, this is getting out of hand. So he did go tell his parents. And Cody thought at this point he was just protecting his brother and the family from financial ruin, which is understandable if he spent that much money.
Yeah.
So they ended up going and like looking through their finances and finding out that roughly about $200,000 had been taken.
Wow.
And then Grant even had the audacity to ask for $50,000 more from Cody so that he could travel to Bulgaria to meet Sylvie and determine whether she truly loved him. Yeah.
Oh, that's a very complex
Well,
psychological
imagine exactly. Well,
reason.
Imagine stealing like $60,000 from your sister, okay? She finds out about this betrayal. You'd think that like your first thing would be like, oh my God, I gotta, make amends. Like you'd feel horrible. I mean, you would never do it in the first place, but imagine that, and then you have the nerve to ask for $50,000 more. So, come on, man. So he was way out of line, right? So they eventually give him an intervention. So Chad, the dad, and Cody eventually found a way to contact Sylvie directly. And the parents, told her that Grant was not wealthy and like he claimed to be, and that the money he spent came from theft and fraud. So
no way.
Yeah.
And how did she react?
She then blocked and excluded him from further contact. So, she was never in love with him, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious to all of us. But people do get caught up in these fantasies and make it, But I keep coming back to this. It's not Sylvie that did anything wrong here. She's doing her job. So anyway, they staged an intervention, and they basically said, okay, you have to have certain things. We're going to limit your time with internet. We're going to limit your phone exposure. You cannot contact Sylvie, and you're going to get a job, and you're going to start paying back the money that you stole. And so they initially arranged a 60-day rehabilitation program for internet and pornography-related compulsive behavior. And apparently that cost around $15,000. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Grant did not complete it. After only a few weeks, Margaret brought him home. Margaret's his mom.
Yeah.
Years later, Grant said rehab was where he first began thinking about killing his family. He resented being treated like an addict, but he was, right? He felt betrayed that his family had placed him there, and found that access to his online world was intolerable. So like not being able to contact her, but she already blocked him. Like it's like, how did you not see that as something that, hey, she doesn't love you, bro. This was
he sounds
never
to
real.
Be so hooked in that fantasy.
Exactly, right? So instead of, interpreting like this treatment that his family put together as like a rescue plan and a way to like rehabilitate himself, he thought it was punishment, and he really resented his family for that. So when Grant returned home, the family gave him those written set of conditions, right? They eventually told him, okay, he has to start paying back money. He had, he's limited, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to, we remember too that this case is about murder, right? Grant eventually murders his family.
The parents and the brother?
Yes. Right? So he eventually murders his family because I guess this plan came into effect shortly after his dad told him to pack his belongings and leave because Grant had broken the agreement. He tried to contact Sylvie again. And his dad was just like, okay, you're done. You got to get out of the house. So now I'm not blaming the victims by any means here, but do you think that maybe they were enabling him by giving him so many chances over and over? And like, it's one of those questions where it's like, what do you do when you have a kid or you have someone that you love that is like clearly addicted to something or clearly has a problem, and they're destroying their lives, and they're probably going to take other people down with them? Do you turn them into the cops? Do you report that financial fraud? Like, what do you do?
Wow, that's a really tough question. It's really, really tough because I could understand why the family kept supporting him because they were trying to help.
Exactly.
I probably would do the same thing. Like, I would choose to send the family member to the rehab center rather than sending him to jail, So it's really understandable what they were doing.
Yep, I agree.
It could not be, again, you said that we cannot blame, but,
no.
We should really help him so that he can have some kind of awareness and think about it. I guess it's very complicated because he's not in a good mental
headspace, right? Yeah, exactly.
So he would not be able to understand the support that he received basically from the people around him.
Exactly. So like if it comes to a point where rational thinking is no longer like an option, sometimes
not,
drastic measures may need to
could
be
be, yeah.
taken, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe they need a good slap in the face or, a couple days in jail or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
to sort of snap them out of it and force them
Yeah.
to get rid of this addiction and realize, hey, this is not okay, but again, I think of like what I would do myself too. I would probably never send anyone to jail. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't,
that's really
I don't think I could
hard.
do it. I don't think I could.
I think they were doing the best that they could by sending him to rehab and gave
I
him so
agree.
many chances because
Yeah.
I think at that time the family didn't think that he would be this far, with whatever that he finally did.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Who knows? Like
yeah.
they think, well, he did that and he would stop eventually.
Yeah.
But it turned out
I know,
it's
but like
not
it's
like that.
crazy that it doesn't end up that way, right? And it's so sad. Like so on January 24th, 2019, is when things, really escalated and happened, right? So
That's when he killed everyone?
yeah. Yep. So Margaret was apparently sitting at the computer at home. And Grant went up to her and shot her in the back of the head.
Ooh.
That's
wow,
where it
that's
started.
brutal.
Yep. Then he waited for Chad to return home, his dad, and shot him twice. And Cody was still working his nursing shift, right? So he was still at work. So what Grant did was used his dad's phone, Chad's phone, to contact Cody and drew him back to the house. So Cody told his girlfriend that his father wanted him home for more family problems. He arrived still wearing his nursing scrubs, and that's what they found him in. Grant shot him as well. So, which is so crazy because Cody was his best friend, right? And like I said, Grant even said something about like him being the love of his life, which I can't understand that, but and maybe it was taken out of context or I don't know, but it's crazy that he loved this person so much and he still like betrayed him in that way. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part is he didn't just kill Cody. He actually tried to make it look like a murder-suicide that Cody did.
Oh.
So he tried to make it look like Cody killed his parents and then killed himself.
Yeah.
So, so it makes you wonder, like, what's worse? Is it murdering the person who repeatedly like helped you out and tried to save you, or is it like trying to leave everyone else in the world believing that person committed the crime?
That's so mean.
It's like that's a dark question, but it's like which one's worse? I don't know. Like
I don't know.
Oh man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So.
And how did the police find out?
Well, this is the thing, right? So he tried to stage it like a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
And investigators later found 3 firearms in the house, but none had fired the bullets that killed the family. So they didn't find the murder weapon. Okay? But a pistol belonging to Jericho Fine, the friend, was missing from his place. And the characteristics were consistent with what was used to kill his family. But the thing is, the gun was never recovered, right? So there was no murder weapon, which is always something really tricky in murder cases when the prosecution is trying to convict someone without a murder weapon. It's very difficult to do unless there's like damning evidence otherwise. So Cody didn't arrive at work, right, the next day, and he was a good worker. Coworkers knew that was very unusual, so they requested a welfare check. So the police entered the house eventually and found Margaret slumped over her desk, Chad on the kitchen floor, and Cody near the area between the home gym and the garage. And Grant and his car were, of course, gone. His phone was also turned off, which is very suspicious. So police eventually located him at a hotel after identifying his car. And investigators also found black gloves with gunshot residue among his belongings. So that's pretty damning.
There's an evidence, yeah.
Yeah. So when he was being questioned initially, and actually for most of the time that he was questioned and throughout the trial, he denied everything. He denied everything for like 4 years until someone finally got the confession out of him about 4 years later. When he finally, I think, realized that his appeal cases were never going to go through. So he acted initially like he didn't know anything that happened. He said he left the house after the confrontation. He also admitted that he later saw police and news vehicles near the home. But instead of approaching officers to ask whether his family was safe, he just went to Panera Bread and searched online for news. Which, yeah, that's a really strong alibi, right?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. Or not alibi, but you know what I mean. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Would you just go to the cops? I would be running to the cops. Wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if your family was, like, if you see, like, if I was home
Of course,
and we were somewhere and
we would run to the car,
Yeah.
like in that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd be panicking. I'd be like, what happened?
I don't know.
Anyway. Okay, so eventually he did come out and confess. But let's talk a little bit about the trial. Okay, so the prosecution's case was largely circumstantial, right? Because they never found the murder weapon. There were no eyewitnesses. There was not a single piece of forensic evidence that independently proved that Grant pulled the trigger. So, and those are things that I always, I get conflicted on with those types of cases, because if you don't have any real evidence,
yeah.
But I mean, if there's so much circumstantial evidence pointing to that person, sometimes it's enough to just be like, okay, clearly this person did it, and they just did a good job at like hiding the weapon. Because the evidence, did form a consistent timeline. Like, Grant had stolen enormous sums of money from the victims. His family had exposed his lies to Sylvie. He resented rehab and the restrictions placed on him. Chad ordered him out of the house the day of the murders. Cody had apparently been summoned, like, home through Chad's phone. And Cody's phone interacted with Grant's computer that night. Okay. So Grant disappeared while all 3 family members remained inside the locked home, which also, is suspect. So the prosecution argued that the crime scene had been manipulated to implicate Cody as the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Now, the defense, on the other hand, said that police focused on Grant too quickly. And that is something that does happen, where police officers or detectives will jump too quickly to conclusions, right?
Wait, but those circumstantial evidence is a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. But this is what the defense is claiming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I were the defense, right, and I was trying to get someone off, the charges, I'd probably say the same thing. It's all circumstantial. You're just focusing on him. What other people did you
That's
consider?
kind of a generic pattern, probably.
It's
like
a generic
in cases
pattern.
Like that.
Yeah, it's
You
kind
can
of the
say,
smart
oh, no,
thing
you
to do.
fixated to him, and
Well, because your job is to like put any doubt in the like jury's minds of there being a possibility that someone else did it. But the jury didn't buy it. They were just like, nah, there's no way, right? So he was eventually convicted of 3 counts of first-degree murder, and prosecution tried to get the death penalty, but the jury did not completely agree on it. So they instead gave him 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. And again, like I said, he tried to appeal these decisions, but they were denied in 2021. So he continued claiming his innocence until, like I said, an interviewer that spent like 4 years communicating with him eventually got out of him, right? Colin Archdeacon, right, was the filmmaker's name. And and I guess it's with that he published in a series called Control Alt Desire. So after Grant's appeal failed, he finally admitted that he had killed his family. He said he just hoped that the appeal might preserve his future somehow. And he said that he felt humiliated, betrayed, and stripped of the online life that had become his primary source of happiness. In rehab, he began seeing his remaining real life as pointless. And that's at least what Grant gave as an explanation. But during the confession, the manipulation may not have even ended there. He claimed to have buried the murder weapon in a friend's backyard.
Oh, wow.
So you'd think, okay, well, you're already confessing to the murder.
Yeah.
Why lie about anything else? But the police searched in that area, in the backyard, and couldn't find anything. Which is weird, right?
Why?
It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like if you're already in jail
So
for the rest of your life, well, I mean, maybe it's to get us talking about it, right? It's like it's another lie or, sort of a cry for attention or to like control the narrative, which is like a thing that a lot of these people end up doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm about to like hiccup or burp or something. So, do you think, okay, so we come back to why I said this is not completely, the same as like those other cases where people have lied in our show. Do you think that Grant like killed them mainly because they separated him from Sylvie, or because they were the only people who knew exactly how false his entire identity had become? So it's like, is it, which one of those could
I'm
it
not sure
be?
which one could be a better or stronger motive for what he was doing. But I think, that could be, she would be the central reason probably for all of this, because he stole money
Just to be with her.
just to be with her.
Exactly.
And he was building a narrative and all the lies about his identity to her.
Yep.
So I don't know, the root of it, maybe he was embarrassed and he was very, very angry with why
with
they
his
were
family.
doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Why they were
Like,
doing
why would you betray me? Like,
Yeah.
Because to me, it seems like that too. It doesn't really seem like, oh, you're about to reveal my identity and ruin things. It's more like, how dare you?
How dare you?
How
doing
dare
that?
you take me away from the love of my life, which
is
just
not
delusional.
the love of his life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
which
just
is delusional.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like clearly, she cut him off. When she found out the truth, it's like, dude, what did you think was going to happen? Like, you were going to go visit her to see if she loved you, and then what? And then she finds out you've been lying the whole time. So, like, even if she was in love with him,
yeah, that would
if
be a
you
huge
found out that
disappointment.
the whole
She would
even if you
want to have a breakup with him.
that alone can creating a whole lie narrative is enough to be like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who this person is. Like, I don't want to be with you, because if you can lie about this, you can lie about anything. So anyway, years later, this is like one final development. So while he was in prison, Grant formed another online romantic relationship.
What?
This time with Victoria Goodwin, the wife of Ghost Adventures television personality Aaron Goodwin, which is so weird, right? Yeah. And investigators discovered messages in which Victoria and Grant discussed their love for one another and a plan to have her husband killed.
No way.
Yep. Victoria pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder on her husband and was sentenced in 2025 to 36 to 90 months in prison, which I think she should get more than that. She was planning to murder her husband.
Yeah.
Like, that many months in prison, just, I don't know.
I'm bored with all of the cases that we have talked about.
I know. But here's the thing I don't understand is, like, why are women that, like, why do certain women fall in love with convicted killers and, like, people that are super like delusional, demented, like they have so many issues and they're not good people. Like, why would you fall in love with someone like that if, you know, they're just they would kill you too if they're willing to kill their family? What makes you think they're going to be loyal to you?
I think there's so many arguments and scientific reasons for why certain women or certain personalities will be drawn into that kind of thing, although they know that it's not good, right?
Yeah.
It's like addiction, basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing too is maybe they were thinking, you know, maybe people are thinking like, oh, well, you know, what he was doing this for love. He was doing it for the love of his life, and maybe he will be that fiercely loyal to me, right? To like do anything to, you know, protect our love together or something like that, right? I've heard those types of explanations.
Yeah.
And I should clarify too that I didn't mean only women think that way. You know, like that fall in love with like convicted criminals and stuff. It's obviously that happens in the reverse roles too, right?
Yeah.
But I've just never heard of those cases as much. That's all. But anyway, it's wild. So yeah. So in closing, I guess Grant Amato just like killed himself or described himself as, you know, killing because he thought his life fell apart. And but you know, his family didn't do anything. They didn't cause any professional failures. They didn't force him to abandon Twitch. They didn't steal $200,000. They didn't create a false identity he presented to Sylvie. It's funny how people will blame everyone else but themselves for their failures, right? Take some accountability. It's crazy. They were trying to help him at every stage, and he just went the other way.
Yeah, it's your job to tell us the psychology behind it, I guess. It's very complex.
It is very complex. So that was episode 23, The Man Who Chose an Online Fantasy Over His Family, Grant Amato case.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed it. And anyone listening up to this point, please send us an email with recommendations and things you liked and didn't like about the cases. What's your favorite episode? What did you like? What did you not like? What kind of dynamic is most, you know, is most engaging to you? We really want to know. So listeners at tellmethecrime.com. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.